The massive alien ship hung in the sky above New York. It had been there for 3 days. Its dark metal hull reflected sunlight in strange ways. People on Earth had never seen anything like it. Inside the United Nations building, humans and aliens sat across from each other at a long table. This was the 5th meeting between them. The room was tense. Armed guards stood along the walls, watching the visitors carefully. Ambassador Day of the Tajan Confederation stood up. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large eyes that never seemed to blink. His translator device hummed softly at his throat. "We have studied your planet for many years," Day said. His voice sounded almost human, but not quite. "Your technology is interesting, but simple. We are surprised you have survived this long." General Kim of the United States Marine Corps frowned. He was not a diplomat. He was a soldier with 30 years of service. The president had asked him to attend this meeting because the aliens seemed most interested in Earth's military. "Ambassador Day," General Kim said, leaning forward, "you keep talking about how advanced your people are, that's fine. But there's more to survival than fancy ships and weapons." Day tilted his head. "Please explain." General Kim pointed to the window. Outside, rain was starting to fall. "We humans have faced everything this planet could throw at us. Ice ages, diseases, natural disasters. We survived because we're tough, not just because we're smart." The alien made a sound like quiet laughter. "Physical toughness is not important when you have proper technology. Our warriors are genetically enhanced and equipped with neural implants. One Tajan soldier can defeat 50 humans." The human diplomats looked at each other with concern. No one liked hearing threats, even if they were just statements of fact. General Kim didn't back down. "Maybe, maybe not. There's more to being a warrior than genes and implants." Ambassador Day's large eyes narrowed slightly. "We have observed your military training methods. They seem primitive and inefficient. You deliberately make your soldiers uncomfortable. You deprive them of sleep. You shout at them. This makes no logical sense." A small smile appeared on General Kim's face. "That's because you don't understand what we're really doing." "Explain," demanded Day. "We're not just training bodies. We're building something inside." General Kim tapped his chest. "Something that your fancy technology can't give you." The alien diplomat seemed offended now. His blue skin darkened slightly. "The Tajan Confederation has conquered 3-star systems. Our warriors are the strongest in the known galaxy." The room grew quiet. No one had known about the conquered systems before. The human diplomats exchanged worried glances. General Kim took a deep breath. What he was about to do might be very brave or very stupid, maybe both. "I have a proposal," he said. "Send one of your warriors to Earth. Let them go through our Marine Corps boot camp. The full 13 weeks at Paris Island, just like any human recruit." The other humans at the table looked shocked. The Secretary of State whispered urgently, "General, you don't have the authority." General Kim continued anyway. "If your warrior completes the training, we'll admit that your methods are superior. If not," he shrugged, "then maybe you have something to learn from us primitive humans." Ambassador Day stood perfectly still for a long moment. Then he touched a device on his wrist. He spoke in his own language, a series of clicks and humming sounds. After a brief conversation, he looked back at General Kim. "We accept your challenge," Day said. "We will send Tay, our most decorated warrior. He has won battles across 3-star systems. He has killed creatures you cannot imagine. Your boot camp will be simple for him." "We'll see," said General Kim. 3 weeks later, a small alien shuttle landed at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island, South Carolina. News cameras and reporters crowded around the landing area. This was the biggest story on Earth. When the door of the shuttle opened, 2 aliens walked out. One was Ambassador Day, the other was much larger. Tay stood 7 feet tall. His body was muscular but moved with incredible grace. Unlike the ambassador, his skin was deeper blue, almost purple. His eyes were sharp and alert. He wore what looked like armor, but it seemed to move like water around his body. "That's their warrior?" whispered a Marine to his buddy. "Looks like he could tear a tank apart with his bare hands." Ambassador Day spoke to the crowd. "This is Commander Tay, hero of the Battle of Marin Nebula, victor of the Golid campaigns. He has agreed to participate in your training program as a gesture of goodwill between our peoples." Tay looked around with what seemed like mild curiosity. He didn't appear impressed or worried, just patient. General Kim stepped forward to meet them. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Tay, and welcome to the United States Marine Corps." Tay nodded. "I look forward to showing the efficiency of Taijin methods. I have studied your training. It will not be difficult." General Kim smiled. "We'll see about that." He turned and signaled to someone waiting nearby. A man in a campaign cover, what civilians called a drill instructor hat, marched forward. He was not as tall as Tay, but he carried himself like he was 10 feet tall. "This is Staff Sergeant Han. He'll be your senior drill instructor." Staff Sergeant Han stood directly in front of Tay. His face showed no fear or awe at the alien. He looked at Tay the same way he'd look at any other recruit, like something that needed a lot of improvement. "Ambassador," General Kim said, "you and your staff can observe from a distance, but from this moment on, Commander Tay is just another recruit. He gets no special treatment." Day seemed uncomfortable with this. "Commander Tay is a high-ranking officer in our—" "Not here, he isn't," General Kim interrupted. "Here, he's just Recruit Tay. That was the agreement." Tay put a hand on Day's shoulder. "It is acceptable. This exercise will demonstrate our superiority. I am prepared." Day reluctantly nodded and stepped back. As soon as he did, Staff Sergeant Han's demeanor changed completely. "Get on my yellow." "Footprints right now, recruit," he bellowed, his face inches from Tay's. Tay flinched, clearly startled by the sudden change. He looked at the yellow-painted footprints on the concrete. "Move it. You are no longer in charge of your life. I am. Those footprints, now." Tay moved to the footprints, a confused expression on his face. Around him, buses were arriving with human recruits who looked terrified. "Stand at attention," Han shouted. "Head and eyes straight forward, arms at your sides, fingers curled, thumbs along the seams of your trousers." Tay attempted to mimic the stance of the humans around him. "That is not attention. That is garbage." Han circled Tay, adjusting his position roughly. "You thought this would be easy? Nothing here is easy. Nothing." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Tay's face. In the distance, Ambassador Day watched with growing concern. "Welcome to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island," Staff Sergeant Han said, his voice suddenly quiet but intense. "The next 13 weeks will be the most difficult of your life. Many of you will not make it. We don't care where you came from. We don't care what you did before. From this moment, you are nothing. If you survive what comes next, maybe, you'll earn the right to call yourself a United States Marine." He stepped closer to Tay. "Even you, alien. Especially you." Tay looked down at Han, his expression unreadable. "I have faced death many times. This training cannot be worse." Han's smile was not friendly. "That's where you're wrong, recruit. Death is easy. Becoming a Marine is hard." As the sun set over Paris Island, Tay sent one last message to his people. "Training has begun. These exercises are physically simple but culturally strange. Success is certain." He had no idea how wrong he was. The first night at Paris Island was chaos. Tay stood in line with 60 human recruits. They all wore the same green shorts and t-shirts now. No one was special anymore. "You have exactly 2 minutes to shower," Staff Sergeant Han shouted. "Move." The humans rushed to the showers. Tay followed, confused by the urgency. On his home planet, warriors prepared for battle with careful rituals. Here, everything was rushed, loud, and seemingly without purpose. Under the cold water, Tay noticed the humans watching him with a mix of fear and curiosity. His blue-purple skin and tall frame made him impossible to ignore. One young recruit, named Song, stared openly at him. "What are you looking at?" Tay asked. "Nothing, sir. Song replied quietly. Do not talk in the shower, a drill instructor named Park yelled, suddenly appearing beside them. And he is not Sir, he is Recruit Tay, a worthless recruit just like you. Tay frowned. On his planet, he commanded respect. Here, he was nothing. The barracks were simple metal beds lined up in perfect rows. Each recruit had to make their bed according to exact measurements. The corners of the sheets needed to form perfect 45-degree angles. The blanket had to be tight enough to bounce a quarter off it. Tay watched the human struggle with this task. With his enhanced coordination, he finished quickly. He stood back, satisfied with his work. Staff Sergeant Han walked slowly down the row, inspecting each bed. When he reached Tay's, he stopped. Without a word, he ripped the sheets off the bed. This is garbage, Han said calmly. Do it again. It was perfect, Tay objected. The corners were exactly 45 degrees. The sheet tension was optimal. Han stepped closer until his face was inches from Tay's. Did I ask for your opinion, recruit? No, but your assessment is factually incorrect. I drop and give me 50 push-ups, Han shouted. Tay looked confused. Why would I? Now! The alien warrior dropped to the floor. Push-ups were simple for his enhanced body. He completed 50 without breaking a sweat. When he stood up, Han was still there. Now make your rack again, and because you question my orders, everyone else will also remake their racks. The human recruits groaned. Several gave Tay angry looks. This made no sense to him. Why punish everyone for his actions? It was inefficient and illogical. You have 5 minutes, Han said. Anyone who fails will mean 10 more push-ups for everyone. As Han walked away, the recruit in the next bed leaned toward Tay. Just do what they say, man. Don't argue. His name tag read Kang. He was smaller than most of the other recruits, but had kind eyes. Their methods are inefficient, Tay said. Kang shrugged as he quickly remade his bed. Maybe, but that's not the point. Then what is the point? I don't know yet. But arguing just makes it worse for everyone. Tay considered this as he remade his bed. Perhaps there was something to learn here after all. Day 3 brought the obstacle course. Tay was excited for this. Finally, a chance to show his physical superiority. The course had walls to climb, ropes to swing on, mud pits to crawl through, and barbed wire to navigate under. The human recruits looked nervous. Tay was confident. First squad, go! Drill instructor Park shouted. Tay moved through the course with incredible speed and grace. He scaled walls in seconds that took humans minutes. He swung across mud pits that others fell into. He finished the course in record time, standing at the end without even breathing hard. The drill instructors didn't look impressed. Great job, Superman, Staff Sergeant Han said sarcastically. Now go back and do it again. Tay frowned. I completed it perfectly. Did you look back to see if your squad was with you? Tay blinked. No. Why would I? The objective was to complete the course. Han pointed back at the course. Several of Tay's squad members were struggling. One recruit named G was stuck at the top of a wall, afraid to jump down. Another had fallen into the mud and was having trouble getting out. The objective was for your squad to complete the course, Han explained. Not just you. That is inefficient, Tay argued. In real combat, Han interrupted. Marines don't leave Marines behind, ever. Now get back there and help your squad. Tay hesitated, then turned back. He ran to where G was frozen at the top of the wall. Jump, Tay said. I will catch you. G looked down fearfully. I can't. You can, Tay insisted. I am strong enough to catch you. G took a deep breath and jumped. Tay caught him easily and set him on the ground. The human gave him a grateful nod. Next, Tay pulled another recruit from the mud pit. Together, they finished the course. It took 3 times longer than when Ty did it alone. When they finished, Han was waiting. Better. Still terrible, but better. That night, as the recruits prepared for bed, Ty sent another message to his homeworld. Training continues. The humans emphasize group success over individual achievement. This seems counterproductive but may have purpose I do not yet understand. By the end of the first week, Tay's body was still strong, but his mind was confused. The humans focused on strange details. Beds made perfectly, uniforms exactly right, marching in perfect unison. None of these seemed related to combat. Most confusing was the constant emphasis on the group. When one recruit failed an inspection, everyone did extra exercises. When one recruit was slow on a run, everyone waited. On Tay's world, the strong survived and the weak were left behind. It was simple evolution. During a rare, quiet moment, Tay approached Kang. Why do humans train this way? It holds back the strong to wait for the weak. Kang thought for a moment. My grandfather was a Marine in the old Korean War. He told me that, in real war, the strong are only as safe as the weakest person in their unit. If one person fails, everyone might die. Then why not just select only the strongest? Tay asked. Because strength isn't just about muscles, Kang replied. Sometimes the physically weakest person has the strongest heart or the smartest mind. Tay considered this. It went against everything he had been taught. In his world, physical and technological, superiority determined success. Here, humans seemed to value something else. That night, as recruits slept, Ambassador Day visited the barracks with General Kim. How is he doing? Day asked, looking at the sleeping alien warrior. General Kim smiled, slightly. Physically? He's impressive, but that's not what this is about. Then what is it about? Day asked. He'll either figure it out or he won't, Kim replied. That's the test. As they left, Tay opened his eyes. He had been awake the whole time. What was he missing? What was this strange test really about? In his next message home, he wrote, These humans are physically inferior, but there is something about their methods I do not understand yet. Their strength seems to come from somewhere else. I will continue to observe. The second week of training was about to begin, and Tay had a feeling it would be much harder than the first, not for his body but for his mind. 3 weeks into training, rain poured down on Paris Island. The sky was dark gray. Mud covered everything. The recruits stood in formation, soaking wet and shivering. All except Tay, whose alien biology handled the cold much better. Today we're going on a little trip to the swamp, Staff Sergeant Han announced, seeming to enjoy the terrible weather. 10-mile hike with full packs. The human recruits tried not to groan. They had learned that complaining only made things worse. Tay remained expressionless. A 10-mile hike was nothing to him. His enhanced muscles could carry him 50 miles without tiring. Each recruit shouldered a heavy pack filled with gear. Again, Tay found this easy while the human struggled. As they marched into the wetlands, he noticed recruit Sue at the back of the line. Sue was the smallest in the platoon. He was struggling badly under the weight of his pack. Keep up, Sue, shouted Drill Instructor Park. You're slowing down the whole platoon. Tay didn't understand why they didn't just leave Sue behind. On his world, if a warrior couldn't keep up, they were considered unfit for battle. Simple and logical. 2 hours into the march, they were deep in swamp country. Rain continued to pour. The mud was now knee-deep in places. Even Tay had to work harder to move through it. Suddenly, there was a splash from the back of the line. Sue had fallen face first into the swamp. His pack, now soaked with water, was too heavy for him to get up. Man down, someone shouted. Without hesitation, Kang and another recruit named Moon ran back to help Sue. They reached down into the mud and pulled him up. I can't, Sue gasped. The pack is too heavy. Staff Sergeant Han marched back to them. Tay expected him to punish Sue for his weakness. Instead, Han said, redistribute the weight. Now. Kang and Moon quickly opened Sue's pack. They took out some of the heavier items and put them in their own packs. Now, all three had slightly heavier loads, but Sue could manage. Tay watched this with confusion. Why would they make themselves weaker to help someone who shouldn't be there in the first place? Problem, recruit? Han asked, noticing Tay's expression. This is inefficient, Tay said. In my military, Sue would be removed from the unit. He slows everyone down and puts the mission at risk. Han's eyes narrowed. Is that so? And what happens? If you're injured in battle, do they leave you behind too? If necessary, yes, Tay answered honestly. The mission comes first. Han looked at him for a long moment. Recruit Tay, front and center. Tay stepped forward. Everyone else continue marching. Tay and I need to have a little chat. As the platoon moved ahead, Han led Tay to a fallen tree where they could sit. Despite the rain, Han seemed in no hurry. You've been here 3 weeks now, Han said, his voice surprisingly calm compared to his usual shouting. What have you learned about us humans? Tay considered the question. You are physically weaker than my species. Your technology is far behind ours, but you work well together. And why do you think we work well together? Your training forces cooperation. You punish individual success and reward group achievement. It is different from our methods. Han nodded. And what do you think is the purpose of that? Tay thought. For a moment. I am not sure. It seems inefficient to hold back the strongest warriors to help the weakest. Han picked up a small stick and broke it easily. Then he gathered several sticks together and tried to break them. They wouldn't break. One stick breaks easily. Many sticks together are strong, Han said. That's the first lesson. Here's the second. In real combat, the plan always falls apart. Always. When that happens, what saves you isn't your strength or your fancy weapons. It's the person next to you. On my world, we each fight our own battles, Tay explained. We are connected by technology, not physical proximity, and if the technology fails. Tay had no answer for that. Such a thing rarely happened with Tajan technology. Let me tell you something about Marines, Han continued. We're not training warriors. We're building Marines. There's a difference. A warrior fights alone. A Marine fights for the person next to them. They sat in silence for a moment, rain dripping from their faces. Come on, Han finally said. Let's catch up to the others. That night, the platoon set up camp in the swamp. They were all exhausted, covered in mud and soaking wet. Su looked half dead with fatigue. But he had made it. As they ate their cold rations, Kang came to sit next to Tay. You think Su is weak, don't you? Kang asked. Tay nodded. By any physical measure, yes. He should not be here. You know he's the best shot in the platoon? He can. Hit targets the rest of us miss every time. And he speaks 4 languages, and he's the only one who can fix the radio when it breaks. This surprised Tay. But that doesn't change the fact that he cannot carry his pack. That's why he has us, Kang said simply. And that's why we have him. Different strengths. Later, that night, as most of the recruits slept under makeshift shelters, Drill Instructor Park approached Tay. Staff Sergeant Han tells me you're having trouble understanding our methods, Park said. I understand them, Tay replied. I just don't agree with them. Park smiled slightly. There's an old human saying, the strength of the wolf is the pack. Do you understand what that means? That a group is stronger than an individual, Tay answered. It's more than that. It means we become something different together than we are alone. Something better. Before Tay could respond, a shout came from across the camp. Help! Su's not breathing right. Park and Tay rushed over. Su was gasping for air, his lips turning blue. He was having some kind of allergic reaction to something in the swamp. Medical kit, now! Park shouted. Moon rushed over with the emergency. Kit Park quickly gave Su an injection that helped him breathe. Within minutes, Su was stable but very weak. He needs to get back to base, Park said, but we can't call for extraction in this weather. Then we carry him, Kang said immediately. That's 10 miles in the dark through swamp, Park warned. Doesn't matter. We're not leaving him. The other recruits nodded in agreement. One by one, they volunteered to take turns carrying Sutai. Watched this with growing confusion. These humans were willing to endanger their mission, exhaust themselves further, and risk injury. All for one weak member who might not survive anyway. I will carry him, Tay finally said. Everyone looked at him in surprise. I am stronger. I can carry him the full distance without rest. Park studied Tay's face, then nodded. All right, but remember, we're a unit. If you need help, you ask for it. Through the night, The platoon marched back through the swamp. Tay carried Sue on his back. For the first time, he felt something strange, a sense of purpose beyond his own success or failure. Sue's life depended on him. The platoon was counting on him. By dawn, they reached the base. Medical staff took Sue immediately. The platoon, exhausted beyond words, collapsed in the barracks. That night, Tay sent a different message to his homeworld. The humans have a strange power. They become stronger when one of them is weak. I do not fully understand it yet, but I begin to see its value. Perhaps there is more to learn here than I first thought. As he lay in his bunk, Tay looked at the empty bed where Sue would normally sleep. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the alien warrior felt something new, concern for someone other than himself. 8 weeks into training, Tay was no longer the same warrior who had arrived on Earth. His body was still stronger than any human's, but something inside him had changed. Sue had returned to training after 3 days in the medical bay. When he came back to the barracks, Tay had helped him make his bed. The other recruits noticed this small act of kindness. No one said anything, but Tay saw the looks of approval. Now the platoon was preparing for the crucible, the final test before becoming Marines. It would be 54 hours of continuous training with little food and almost no sleep. Even the human recruits who had been here before warned that it was the hardest part of boot camp. The night before the crucible, Ambassador Day visited Tay. "Your reports have changed," Day said, looking concerned. "The high command is worried. You have been influenced by human thinking." Tay considered this. "I have learned new things," he admitted. "About warfare?" Day asked. "About strength," Tay replied. "It is not always what we thought it was." Day frowned. "Remember why you are here. You represent the superiority of our ways. Do not forget that." After Day left, Kang approached Tay. "Everything okay?" "My people are concerned I am becoming too human," Tay said. Kang laughed. "Is that possible? You're still blue and 2 feet taller than me." Tay smiled slightly. This was another change. He had never smiled before coming to Earth. "I think they fear I will no longer believe in the Tajin way," Tay explained. "And do you?" Kang asked. "I am uncertain now," Kang nodded. "That's actually a good thing. Questions lead to growth." The crucible began at 2 a.m. with a 20-mile sail march. Each recruit carried a pack that weighed 60 pounds. The human recruits struggled under the weight but kept going. Tay was impressed by their determination. By noon, they had reached the first challenge site. Staff Sergeant Han explained the task. "You must cross this field as a team," he said, pointing to a muddy area filled with obstacles. "You have 3 wounded teammates who cannot walk." He pointed to Sue, Kang, and a recruit named Lee. "You must carry them and all your gear across without leaving anything behind." In the past, Tay would have seen this as inefficient. Now he immediately began planning with the others. They divided the extra weight among the stronger recruits. Tay volunteered to carry Sue, who was the lightest, plus extra gear. "No," said Moon, who had become the unofficial leader of their squad. "You're the strongest. You should carry Kang. He's the heaviest." Tay nodded. This made tactical sense. He lifted Kang onto his back and took his pack as well. The squad moved across the field, helping each other over walls and through mud pits. When one person struggled, others stepped in to help. No one was left behind. When they finished, Staff Sergeant Han simply nodded. From him, this was high praise. By the second day of the crucible, everyone was exhausted. They had slept only 2 hours and eaten just 1 small meal. Even Tay felt the effects, though his alien biology handled it better than the humans. The day's challenges tested their problem-solving skills. One task required them to move their entire squad across a river, actually just a marked area, using only 2 small platforms. If anyone touched the ground, they all had to start over. "Ideas?" Moon asked the group. In the past, Tay would have solved the problem himself. Now he waited to hear what others thought. "We could make a human bridge," Sue suggested. "The strongest people could hold the platforms while others cross." "Good idea," Moon said. "Tay, you're the strongest. Can you hold a platform steady with people walking on it?" Yes, Tay said, but I will need help for balance. They worked out a plan. Tay would hold one platform while braced by two other recruits. The rest would cross carefully. Then they would pass the second platform ahead and repeat. It took 3 tries, but they finally made it across. When the last person reached the other side, the squad cheered. Tay felt something warm inside his chest. Pride, but not for himself. Pride in what they had accomplished together. That night, huddled under a small shelter with almost no sleep, Tay thought about how much he had changed. On his homeworld, warriors fought for glory and victory. Here, these humans fought for each other. The final day of the Crucible pushed everyone to their limits. They had now gone more than 40 hours with only 4 hours of sleep total and very little food. Even Tay was struggling. The last challenge was a 15-mile march up a steep hill known as the Reaper. Each recruit still carried their heavy pack. The human recruits could barely stand, let alone march. As they began the climb, Tay noticed Kang stumbling. Without a word, Tay took Kang's pack and added it to his own. Now he carried twice the weight, but his strength could handle it. 10 minutes. Later, he saw Sue falling behind. The small recruit was at his breaking point. Again, Tay took his pack. Now he carried 3 packs. You don't have to do this, Sue said weakly. Yes, I do, Tay replied. We finished together. Halfway up the hill, Moon collapsed. His legs simply gave out after so many hours of marching with little food or rest. He tried to stand but couldn't. Go on, Moon told the others. I'll catch up when I can. No, Tay said firmly. We are not leaving you. Tay handed the 3 packs to other recruits who could still manage a little more weight. Then he helped Moon to his feet and supported him. Lean on me, Tay said. I can't make it, Moon admitted. You can, we will do it together. Step by painful step they climbed. When Moon couldn't walk, Tay carried him. When others faltered, they helped each other. The sun was setting by the time they reached the top of the hill. They were the last squad to finish, but they had all made it. Staff Sergeant Han stood waiting. At the top, for once he wasn't shouting. You're the slowest squad to reach the top today, he said. The recruits stood in silence, too exhausted to even feel disappointed. But, Han continued, you're the only squad where every single member made it together. No one fell out. No one gave up. He looked directly at Tay. Some of you carried more than your share. That's what Marines do. For the first time, Tay truly understood. The point had never been about physical strength or combat skills. It had been about something his people had never valued: sacrifice for others. That night, as the recruits were finally allowed to rest, Ambassador Day met with General Kim again. Your experiment is having an unexpected effect, Day said. Tay is not proving our superiority. He is becoming more like you. General Kim smiled. Isn't that interesting? Your strongest warrior, changed by what you thought was primitive training. What exactly has he learned here? Day asked. Something we discovered thousands of years ago, Kim replied. True strength isn't about being the best warrior. It's about being part of something greater than yourself. Back in the barracks, exhausted, but proud, Tay sent what would be his final report to his homeworld. I came to demonstrate Tajin superiority. I will stay because humans have taught me that true strength comes from standing together. They do not need our protection, but perhaps we could learn from each other. As he drifted off to sleep, Tay realized he was no longer just a Tajin warrior. He was becoming something else, something better. Graduation day at Paris Island dawned clear and bright. Flags snapped in the breeze. Hundreds of family members sat in rows facing the parade ground. They had come to watch their sons and daughters become United States Marines. Among them sat a group that stood out, the blue-skinned delegation from the Taijin Confederation. Ambassador Dai sat rigidly in his seat. Several other high-ranking Taijin officials had arrived overnight in a small ship. They had come to witness the end of their experiment. This is a significant waste of time, one Taijin official named Bach said to Dai. 13 weeks for basic combat training? Our warriors complete neural downloads in hours. Watch and learn, Day replied. I have seen things here that have made me question our methods. The ceremony began with music. The Marine Corps band played as the graduates marched onto the field, in perfect formation. 60 humans and one tall blue alien, all moving as one. Their steps hit the ground at exactly the same time. Their arms swung at precisely the same angle. In the stands, the Tajan officials leaned forward. They had expected to see Tay standing out, showing his superiority. Instead, he moved in perfect unity with the humans, not a step out of place. He has mastered their primitive movements, Bach said with approval. Good discipline. No, Day said quietly. Look closer. He's not just copying them. He's part of them. The platoon came to a halt, facing the viewing stands. Staff Sergeant Han stepped forward and called them to attention. Their drill was flawless. When they finally stood at parade rest, General Kim walked to the center of the field. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, honored guests, he began. Today we welcome a new group of Marines into our ranks. These young men and women have completed one of the most challenging military training programs on Earth. They came here as individuals. They leave as Marines. He paused, looking directly at the Tajan delegation. And for the first time in our history, we welcome a non-human into our ranks. When Commander Tai arrived 13 weeks ago, many thought he would easily complete our training. His physical abilities far exceed human limits. But as he discovered, becoming a Marine isn't about physical strength. It's about something much harder to build. In formation, Tay stood tall. His face showed no emotion, as he had been trained. But inside, his heart was pounding. For the first time in his life, he felt truly part of something greater than himself. After General Kim's speech, the moment every recruit had been waiting for arrived. One by one, each graduate stepped forward to receive the eagle, globe, and anchor, the symbol of the Marine Corps. When they returned to formation, they were no longer recruits. They were Marines. When Tay's turn came, a silence fell over the crowd. He stepped forward, his movements sharp and precise. Staff Sergeant Han waited for him. Recruit Tay, Han said formally. Then he held out the eagle, globe, and anchor. You have earned this. Tay took the emblem carefully. When he had first arrived, he had thought this small metal object was meaningless. Now he understood its true value. Thank you, Staff Sergeant, Tay said. From this moment on, you are a Marine. Honor this title always, Han said. I will, Tay promised. As Tay returned to formation, he saw something he had never seen before. Staff Sergeant Han was smiling. After the ceremony, the new Marines mingled with their families. Tay stood with the Tajan delegation. Ambassador. Day seemed troubled. The High Command is confused by your reports, Day said. They expected you to demonstrate our superiority. Instead, you speak of human methods with respect. Because they deserve respect, Tay replied. Their methods are different but effective. They build something we have never valued, unity and sacrifice. So your conclusion is that humans are superior to us? Bach asked, clearly offended. No, Tay said. We each have strengths, but we have much to learn from each other. Meanwhile, across the field, General Kim was speaking with staff. Sergeant Han. So Han, Kim said. What's your assessment? Did our alien friend pass the test? Han watched Tay speaking with his people. He did more than pass, sir. He changed. I've never seen anyone change so much in 13 weeks. Think he learned something worth taking back to his people? I think he learned something that might change his people, sir. That evening, a formal meeting was held between Earth's leaders and the Tajan delegation. Both sides were ready to discuss the results of their experiment. In a large conference room, Tai stood at attention. He wore the uniform of a United States Marine. Commander Tai, the Tajan leader Bach said, you were sent to demonstrate the superiority of our military methods. What is your conclusion? Everyone waited for his answer. The future relationship between Earth and the Tajan Confederation might depend on what he said next. Tai took a deep breath. I came here believing our ways were better. I believed individual strength and advanced technology were the most important factors in warfare. I was wrong. The Taijan officials looked shocked. The humans leaned forward, listening carefully. Humans, trained differently, Tay continued. They do not create perfect warriors. They create something stronger, a unit that fights as one. They create Marines who will sacrifice everything for each other. So you believe their methods are superior? Bach asked, frowning. I believe they are different, with different strengths, Tay said carefully. Our warriors are physically stronger and have better technology. But humans have something we lack, a bond that makes them fight harder for each other than they would for themselves. General Kim nodded slightly, pleased by Tay's words. What do you recommend? Ambassador Day asked. That we learn from each other, Tay said. Combine our strengths. Together we would be truly unbeatable. The room fell silent as everyone considered. This finally Bach spoke. And what of you, Commander? Will you return to the Confederation? Now came the moment Tay had been preparing for. He straightened his back and spoke clearly. With your permission, and the permission of Earth's leaders, I request to remain with the Marine Corps. I wish to help build understanding between our peoples. The surprise was visible on every face, human and alien alike. You would abandon your people? Bach asked in disbelief. No, Tay said firmly. I would build a bridge between our peoples. What I have learned here is too valuable to lose. General Kim stepped forward. Speaking for Earth's military leadership, we would welcome Commander Tay, Marine Tay, to continue serving. He has earned his place among us. After much discussion, both sides agreed. Tay would become the first alien to serve as a United States Marine. He would help train a new joint species force, teaching both humans and Taijin the strengths of each. As the meeting ended, Tay found himself standing with his fellow graduates, Kang, Su, Moon, and the others. So you're staying, Kang said with a grin. Does this mean we're stuck with you? Yes, Tay replied, smiling. We are Marines now. We stick together. Su, the smallest of the group, looked up at the tall blue alien. You know, when you first got here, I thought you would crush us all. I could have, Tay admitted, but then I would have missed the most important lesson. Which is? Moon asked. Tay looked at his fellow Marines, his team, his friends, his new family. That true strength isn't about being the best warrior, he said. It's about being part of something greater than yourself. As the sun set over Paris Island, two worlds took their first step toward a new future together. And it had all started with one simple challenge to send an alien warrior to boot camp.